Welcome back to the Variety Pack podcast. My name is Chloe Baldwin. I use all pronouns, and I am your host as we have incredible conversations with live performers about how to harness the attention of today's audiences. I am so excited because today, for our second episode, I have two fantastic drag performers that I look up to so much as a fellow drag performer, and the conversation that we had is something that I think entertainers across the board can relate to, both when it comes to the different types of drag that work for different audiences, onstage snafus that actually lead to something better, or pieces of art that you set down for a while, come back to later, and end up with something you never could have imagined. Our first guest is a great friend and collaborator of mine named Viv Gould, but I know better as Drag King Watson Side. So Watson Side hosts Watson's Willies, which is the more scandalous version of their LA Drag King focused show. And Watson also hosts Watson's Sillies, which is the more family-friendly version of the same show. Viv/Watson has been putting drag kings on stage across Los Angeles for as long as I've lived here, and always brings an incredible amount of whimsy and joy, while also being one of the most organized producers that I know. Our second guest is Kyle Cragle, who you might know as an internationally traveling Cirque du Soleil contortionist, but you might also know as Scarlett Business, the phenomenal drag queen/showgirl who is based out of Vegas, frequently seen at both Piranha and Gypsy. And Kyle's just an all-round wonderful human being that I'm so happy to know and introduce you to. Today's episode is sponsored by Silver Lining Coffee, which is a woman-run small business. They specialize in premium small batch beans delivered right to your door. And as a tea drinker, I can also testify that their masala chai is amazing. There's a lot of care put into this entire brand, and Silver Lining says it all. I love that they're about making the world just a little bit of a brighter place. So go check them out at silverliningcoffee.com. And now, the Variety Pack podcast, made possible by Mystify Magic Festival. All right. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Variety Pack podcast. I'm your host, Chloe Baldwin, and today I'm also going to reveal my secret identity of Christian Rock, the drag king, because I have two incredible guests whose work I absolutely admire and love them as human beings on the podcast today. I've got Kyle Cragle, also known as Scarlett Business, and I've got Viv Gould, also known as Watson Side. Welcome to the show, y'all.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. We're pumped to be here, Mama.
Let's frickin' go. So Viv is tuning in from Los Angeles, where I also am, and Kyle's coming at you live from Las Vegas. And I'm so excited to talk about the drag scene between these two different cities a little bit, and also just how this relates to, I know both of you have very rich artistic lives outside of your drag as well, and I'm so excited to talk about like how that relates and all that good stuff. But I want to start with one of the classic drag questions, which is, how did you come up with your drag name? Whoever wants to start.
I think I was like, okay, kings, like puns. We love puns. And so I really wanted it to be that. And I was thinking of a name that was like a pun on what's your sign as like a pickup line. So I was going to do Watson Sign, but that didn't roll off the tongue at all. So I decided to do What's Inside because it's a dick joke. So original.
I love that. Oh my God. And to be specific, for our viewers at home, if you don't know, there are a couple different kind of drag artists. One of the kind of artists you can be is a drag king. And oftentimes that's an AFAB person who dresses and gets into the vibe and the aesthetic of what we think of in society as masculine or male. And we'll get more into that in a little bit, but just to give the little syllabus there. Kyle, what about you?
Okay, so mine was more of like a serendipitous journey, I would say. So when I first started, I didn't want it to be a pun because drag queens also love puns. And I was like, I just feel like it's not my branding. So like as funny or like comedic as I can be, especially more outside of drag, honestly, I just didn't want my branding to be stuck so much in one direction, I guess. And I think that it had to do with not exactly knowing what I wanted to do with drag. Like I still had a lot of exploration ahead of me. So I was like, I wanted something inherently feminine and memorable. Those were like my two things. So I was like, I want someone to hear it and think of like a powerful woman. And I wanted to
Yeah.
be able to remember it, like a stark name, you know? Um, and so one of my physiotherapists at the National Circus School, her last name was Scarlett. And I was like, well, that sounds good to me. I guess I can try that on for size. So the first time that I ever went out in drag, I didn't have a last name. I didn't have like a fully developed name. It was just Scarlett for a long time. But this being said, I was working full time in the circus industry. So it also wasn't important. Like I wasn't trying to start performing. I was just
Right.
playing around with my drag. And down the line, I met another circus artist who went by the name of Nadia Business. And she's not really my drag mom, but she's someone who kind of helped me orient my style in a way. She was living in Vancouver at the time. She lives in Australia now. And she was like, oh, you should come do this free show with me. So basically on Davie Street in Vancouver, at the time, there was a club called XY, and there was a 1 a.m. show. I think it was on a Saturday or a Sunday. And all of the girls would come after their gigs and do this pop-up like tip spot
Oh,
show
cute.
that one of
Yeah.
the popular queens would host. And the host knew that we were friends, so she announced me as Scarlett Business. And then
Cute.
I kept it. And I felt like somehow serendipitously, I found the balance of like having a name that makes people smile when you say it. So like it's enjoyable to hear, but it's not like a comedic based name where like you hear on a mic and someone expects for me to like walk out with something hilarious. Does that
Right.
make
Or like
sense?
do something
I don't know. Maybe
specific.
yeah. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm taking it too damn seriously, but yeah, she's a businesswoman now. That's how it happened.
It's business. I get it.
That's what we're here for.
We'd love to see it. I love that. So I'd love to hear too about what some of your influences were and how each of you found drag. And it sounds like Nadia Business was a big influence for you, Kyle, just in terms of the people directly in your life. But I'm curious, like Watson, when did you first hear that a drag king was a thing? Because Watson and I are both drag kings specifically. I didn't know what a drag king was until I was in college. I'd heard of drag queens, I'd seen RuPaul, all of that
Mhm.
good stuff, but I had no idea that this was a thing.
I know it was at BuzzFeed's height because there was this YouTube segment where they took some of the there wasn't like the Try Girls, but there was some of the women at BuzzFeed and they turned them into drag kings. And one of the people they had come in was Landon Cider to transform some of the gals along with other kings. And this, I want to say like 2018, I'm not sure. But I saw that YouTube clip and that was really cool. And then I forgot about drag kings for like 5 years. And I was always a really big fan of RuPaul's Drag Race, and I went to the con and everything. And then I was doing production work one day, hating myself, Avi, and I had been watching this show called Our Flag Means Death with Taika Waititi, and he played Blackbeard, and he was a really hot Blackbeard. And I was like, I want to be this character, but like not for Halloween. Like I just want to like do something as this character, and I didn't know what.
Yes.
And then something popped in my head of like drag. So my first ever drag number was at the Offbeat at Exposure Drag as Blackbeard from Our Flag Means Death. And I looked terrible, but I had so much fun. And then I was like, this is it, babes. This is it.
That's awesome. I do feel like that's a rite of passage as a drag artist is to look
Yeah.
terrible and be having the time of your life so that you can then rise to meet the idea that you have in your head of what you want this to be, but just getting that out of your system. I like look back at some of my first beats and was like, "Oh no."
Well, I
But yeah.
also remember I did his beard, but I did it all in black glitter because I was like, glitter, yes, yay, drag. Never done a glitter beard since. Learned my lesson. Holy shit, those are terrible. Don't do glitter beards.
Don't do it. If you do, there's got to be some depth, maybe some hair. Just don't. If it's all glitter, it will fall apart. You will find it for years, and it will look insane. Learn
Yeah,
from us.
I still have it somewhere.
Oh my God, Kyle, what about you? What were some of your other influences slash early experiences with glitter
Oh
beards
my
and things like
gosh.
that?
Well, I'm trying to think about the first time that I saw a drag king, and I think okay, so there's two memories that I have. Surely it happened on the internet sometime where I was like, okay, this makes a lot of sense. I think that it didn't like stick with me because it just made sense to me. It was like the
Yes.
first time I saw a drag king, I'm like, well, duh. I'm like,
Yeah.
of course, this makes complete sense, right? Um, but I do remember I went to DragCon in 2019 and I met Landon Cider at the Boulay Brothers show. So one of my really good friends, her name is Mindy Lamore. She sews for the Boulets. So a
Yes.
majority of their promo looks over the past 5 years are like what they just wore on the red carpet. They're at the Emmys. My
Yes.
friend Mindy made.
Shout out to
So
Mindy.
she
Oh
was
my
so
God.
she's fierce, and
Amazing.
now she's working as a union seamstress, and she made me my first ever circus costume. She made me my first ever drag costumes. Anyways,
Oh,
um, so at the time she was starting for the Boulets, and we were in LA doing DragCon together. She was like, "Oh, you should go see the show. I'm not gonna go, but you should go." So I went and I met Landon Cider, and I had not watched the season. And he's like my favorite drag king. And I was like, oh, like, what's your name again? I was like, one more thing. And he was super cool. So, like, we had this great conversation. And I was like, what's your name again? Anyways, and there was this other one named Will Charmer in Montreal. Will Charmer in Montreal. Shout out to you. You were the first drag king where I tingled on the inside when I saw it reminded me of first seeing a drag queen for the first time again. I was like, the sexual feelings that you get from drag sometimes
God,
at the
yes.
bar.
Mhm.
Yeah, so Will Charmer was the other one. But my early influences of drag in general were
Yeah.
queens that were doing makeup on YouTube. So the long of it really is that since I wanted to become a circus artist, so for the audience,
Yes, please.
I started as a gymnast, and when I was 9 years old, I saw a Cirque show and I told my parents, I'm going to be in Cirque du Soleil one day. So then from there on in Southern Texas, it was like this battle of like, how do I gain access to this side of this art form that like
Right.
I'm so close to because of gymnastics, but so far away from? So I was always looking for stage makeup because I was so interested in like the Cirque makeup style. So I ran across makeup artists who were also drag queens. And I remember thinking like there was one, her name on YouTube was Petrie Loot, but I think that I can't remember her full drag name. It was Misty something, I think. And I remember watching vlogs and not understanding, like, I was like, okay, so she's getting dressed up and then going to the club and then what? And she would just go
Right.
out and drag for fun. Like she wasn't really a drag performer. And so I was like, what is this? And same thing, I kind of like discovered it and then it went away for a long time. And
Yeah.
then when I was in college, I had a roommate that loved Drag Race. And he was like, oh my God, if you don't know about Drag Race, and this is when season 8 was coming out. So I think it was, we were on season 8, episode 3 when I first ever watched. And then we went back and watched the first two. And then I finished the whole season with him like week by week. I put him into drag eventually. Then I wanted to start doing drag. Then I wanted to go on. Then I got a touring contract and I was like, well, I'm not going to bring drag on tour, so I might as well go out
Right.
before I start touring. So I went out and drag for the first
We
time.
got to get it out
And
now before
then
I'm on tour. Yeah.
and then it just like kept building up where it was like I kept running into it over and over again. And now I'm doing it full time.
I love
So
that.
yeah.
Um, that
It's
begs the
all from
question for
makeup though.
me. Yes, that's so
All from
cool.
makeup.
So it started with makeup because that was kind of related to the circus aspect of things. And then
Exactly.
from there kind of became like grew into this whole other branch of your life. I love that too, the moments where you kind of come across an art form or something that eventually becomes such a big part of your life, but it's like it just pops up for a second and then it's just kind of waiting there for years for you to come back to it. I love that.
Mhm.
When's the first time that you saw drag?
Oh my God. Well, when I was in like high school, my younger sister was super into drag queens. Like she just got really into like RuPaul at first, but then it was like the Chicago local drag scene because we were in the suburbs of Chicago, and she like started a Twitter where she was like creating fan content about all of the queens in Chicago. And so then
Oh
they
my
would
gosh.
reshare it. And they were all like, who is this middle school girl who loves our stuff? What is going on? And so like they all knew who my sister was. And I knew who all of them were because of my younger sister. And she was super into makeup. Like she was kind of my gateway drug in that way. And when I got to college, the other like theater students would host a drag show every year as like a fundraiser for the seniors to go on their showcase. And the first time that I went to one of those shows, I saw Drag King for the first time. And I was like, you can do that? Like, I had no idea. Somehow that I missed all of that in the Twitter sister phenomenon of things. And I ended up calling my sister and was like, I want to do this. And I have a drag name. And she was like, what is it? And I was like, well, I have one. I think it's too crazy. I don't want to, like, I'm like 19. I'm like, but I don't know if like, you know, a suburban upbringing is making me feel like I can do this name. And she was like, what is it? And I was like, Christian Rock. And she was like, that's your name. Done. Sold. Like she was like my drag agent practically at the very beginning. So yeah. It was like through a younger sibling, I was kind of able to find all of this, which was really cool.
That's so cool.
Yeah. It was dope. Yeah, she was always a little bit more of a rebel than I was, so it helped me kind of like break out of my shell. I had that oldest child, like I have to do things right kind of thing, so that helped a lot.
And you got your name on the first go.
I did, yes.
Congratulations.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, thanks. It's the I've been an actor and now a Renfrew performer for a long time, and Christian Rock is the character I've been with the longest. It's been like 11 years, which is so cool.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that you've been doing drag for so long.
Yeah, it's so funny. I had a similar thing where like I went on tour with acting for a while and like didn't have a lot of chance to kind of do it when I was doing that. And so it's been one of those things where it's kind of like it happened and then it like went to sleep for a while and then kept coming back. And it was when I got to LA that like it kind of came out full force, because there's a show here called Them Fatale, where it's all kings and it's been going for like, what do you think, Watson? Like 10 years, maybe 8 or 10 years.
They just had an anniversary and I can't remember what number that was.
That's such a great question. Maybe 10. Yeah.
Wait, I'll look it up. Keep talking.
Yeah. But like when I got here and I like kind of saw the opportunity model of like so many drag kings performing and like different styles and more full time, it was like, oh, this is something I can do. And I really do credit Them Fatale with like it was Them Fatale and then it was Watson's show. So Watson's also a producer and host of Watson's Willies, which is the like sexier one, and then there's Watson's Sillies, which is the family friendly like version of the show, which I just love both of those so much. And also I'd love to talk to you both about kind of bridging that gap between family friendly and like after hours and how we do that as performers. So anyway, that I'll circle back on that in a bit. I know, right? How do we separate
with
those
difficulty for me?
Agreed.
For me, with difficulty.
Yes. What's difficult about it for you, Kyle?
Where I started to perform in Montreal, my first ever home bar was it's called Cabaret Meadow. And they have a cabaret license. So you're allowed to do basically like you can go down to Pacey's, like you can do burlesque and like Pacey's and like be wearing nothing on stage. And for some reason, all that I ever wanted to do was wear nothing on stage. But where I first started to perform it, that was allowed.
Yeah, right.
So then the first time that I ever had a costume restriction was when I went back home to Texas. So this was pre-COVID, like literally the week before everything shut down. I was down in Texas on vacation visiting my parents before I had like a whole spring and summer schedule to maintain. And I did an amateur night at the Rose Room at S4, this huge gay club in Dallas.
Yeah.
And they have a fishnet rule because they can't procure a certain type of license because they're too close to a school. Like, I don't even know what how the rules work, but basically my music got shut off because I was bare-legged. And so I was like, okay, but like, I'm in a 21 plus venue, you know, and then they were explaining to me backstage, they're like, yeah, it's because of like zoning with like, there's a school that's like 2 blocks away. And I'm like, and is the school connected to the club? No. Are the kids coming into the club? No. So like, I was so confused by it. And then obviously as my drag career grew, I had opportunities to do prides, this, that, and the other, whatever. And I've just been put in situations where like people know my branding, right? Like my branding is like, I'm naked and I'm wearing human hair. Right. So like for me, I feel like I also grew up on family friendly drag. Like to me, Medea and like movies like Norbit, like that is drag. Miss Doubtfire, that is drag.
Absolutely.
And for some reason,
That's drag.
so many conservative people love to argue against that somehow, where I'm like, no, this is literally drag, but that's fine. Like we don't.
Yeah, right.
For me, even like
You like
Mike
drag,
Myers,
surprise, yeah.
you like it's fine. It's
You
fine.
love it. You already like
It's great.
this. Come here.
Yeah, it's great. And like Cat in the Hat, Mike Myers, like that's drag.
That
The Grinch, Jim Carrey, that's drag.
100%.
Oh my God. Wait, Kyle, I need to tell you, you are talking to exactly the right person because Viv, What's Inside is the greatest Grinch I have ever seen.
Stop. Okay, then I have to see it. Then I have to see it because Jim Carrey is like one of my comedic inspirations, like that I've used across the spectrum of so much of my performance. Oh my God. And sexy Grinch on top of it.
If you're
It's
listening
my
to the
turn.
audio of this podcast, I will make sure that there is a link to the photo that
To
Watson is
this
holding up right
photo.
now.
I grew up on like family friendly drag. And then I got put into contexts where people knew my branding and didn't give me a costume restriction. And then I
Right.
like prance out in a panty and a bra, and there's a child there. And I'm like, please tell me if this is like an 18 under show. Like that's happened to me.
Right.
Y'all. I can't tell you how many times that's happened to me. And I go back to the producer and I'm like, you need to like, first off, you need to warn me, period.
Right.
And second off, I'm just like, in terms of like what I'm selling right now with my branding, it's like, I'm also not gonna seek family friendly shows. Like a pride show, of course, like on a main stage, it's like, yeah, I'm not gonna get like fully naked. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
Right.
Yeah.
that
Like,
makes
the
sense, but like,
context for that is like built in. But like for a show where you're not sure, or if you're putting out a certain type of brand and then they're expecting you to do something family friendly, that needs to be made clear by the producer. Okay, wait, I have a question. So Viv, as somebody who produces both of those kinds of shows, how do you make it clear to the performers like which one it is, and like how do you kind of help them through that? And have you ever had some like snafus with things like that?
I've had so many snafus. Oh my God. People don't listen, but it's okay. It's all right. Most of the time it's great. I will, when I book people, I'll go, hey, I'm not doing this show anymore, where it was, but this was a brewery that was open to all ages. And I like when kids will come to the show. It was also open to all dogs, which was great. I love dogs at drag shows.
oh my gosh,
And I
do
like
too.
putting
So
on
much. They love drag.
I know, truly. And when I take a $10 bill from a dog's mouth, baby. But like, I love when kids get to see drag and we can like perform and have fun and be appropriate for sure. And so I'll tell people, them like, this is an all ages show. I can't tell you if like kids are going to come or not, but please, like, don't be naked, as much as I love it. But don't be naked. Don't have any like intense curse words in your number. I don't mind a few. This is my favorite one. And this performer I love with all my heart. There was no kids in the audience. It didn't mess up the show. I have no problem with it. But one of my favorite performers, she did a what's the like the really sassy one from Sex and the City?
No, I'm not Sex in the City well versed enough.
Same.
Yeah, me neither. But there's one that's like all about, she like curses a bunch, says a bunch of like crazy sex stuff, and they did her for the number. And in the audio, it was like talked about CUM guzzling, and I was like, and I always watch all my performers because I like to. I'm not the host that goes backstage because I'm like, oh my God, free drag show, guys. So I'm watching this and I'm in the corner like,
Right.
it was so funny, but it was such a great moment. But that killed me.
Oh my God. Okay, wait.
That-
Okay, so here's my question then. Let's get like 1,000-yard stare about this. What, or not 1,000-yard stare, that'd be sad. 1,000-yard view. In that case, what do we think? And I know what I think about this, but for ourselves and for the audience, like, what is important about being able to both have spaces where drag can be adult and sexy and like for our community, for each other, for other adults, versus like what is the importance of also being able to have drag that can be for kids or can be accessible to families or those kind of things? What's the importance of having both of those?
But I just think it's important. I mean, for me, because I didn't see that. I really grew up in buttfuck New Hampshire. I didn't see drag. I don't even know if I saw a gay person, to be honest. So, I mean, truly, my town had, I don't know how many people, but it couldn't have been over 100. And I wish I saw that. So I do, while I it's not my number one priority to perform for kids. I do think it's important for kids to see drag every once in a while because it shows them that like this is like a thing. Gay people are real. Arts is real. Dressing up and having fun is real and not just a stupid career that your father hates. Like it's important for them to see that it exists. So yes, I do think drag shows that are appropriate for kids should exist 100%.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, as much as like I always tell people, I'm like, I don't really want to perform for kids. This is not my branding on the drag side of things for me. Because like obviously I perform for tons of children. I love performing for kids. I just have always really done it out of drag. I think that there's so much room for drag to be a thing for kids. Also, like I'm going to continue on my other rant of like characters. It's like Disney is drag. Like Cirque is drag, right? Like caricaturization is drag, and I think that that's what a lot of people want kids to have access to in the drag realm. Like I feel like for me, it goes even further than drag. It's just more the entertainment industry at large. Like, let's talk about, and I would always say this in this, if people want to talk about drag and kids and whatever, I always say this, I'm like, okay, well, like there's dance, right? So like you can go see the Nutcracker with your family, and then there's an exotic dancer at Sapphire down the road who's also using her dance training to make her coins, and it's like, there's going to be things on both sides of the spectrum. There's going to be vocabulary that's meant for children and not meant for children. There's going to be science concepts that are meant for children and maybe meant for kids who are a little bit older. You know what I'm saying? It's like there's everything for both, and I agree. I think that it's more just an accessibility thing. It's like I think that kids drag and the live entertainment industry in general, it offers just like a free space to be imaginative and explorative and to experience fantasy, to experience something larger than life. It's like I really think for me it comes down to being able to experience the visceral magic of viewing something that like really, I don't even have the word, it's too early in the day for me right now to have like the impactful existential soundbite. But like I go back, the way that I can put it into simple terms, like I go back to the first time that I ever saw Cirque du Soleil, which to me is drag. And like I saw a classic Cirque show for my first show. Being able to experience that indescribable feeling of like viewing and experiencing magical art that like fully transcends like
Yes.
a sober state of being. I think that's why drag should still be accessible for kids. Like the magic can really change your life, whether they do drag or not, whether they see it all the time or not. Like I just think that kids should have access to that live entertainment, and sometimes drag is going to be a part of that, and in some cases drag is not going to be a part of that, or like being drag specific. On the other side, I think in terms of adult drag or like 18 plus 21 plus nightlife drag, I think actually, and I've only thought of it since you asked this question, I think that the reason why it does get so wrapped up in sexuality is because it's a free place for us to express our sexuality that is considered other, that is
100%.
not accepted in a lot of places, that we grew up not being, accepted, whatever. I think that for me also, playing more of a sexualized character, there's sort of a kick. There's a kickback about, what do I want to say? Like, it's so interesting how it's going to get really deep really quick.
I'm so here for this, Kyle. I need you to know, like everything you're saying. Like, please keep going.
Okay, good. So, like, imagine me, 12-year-old child who is experiencing feelings for men, but also likes girls and doesn't know what's quite going on at a Christian school in South Texas, right? And the number one thing that I'm getting called is F slur, which I don't have a problem saying, but I don't necessarily want to say it in your podcast in case I don't know the rules. It's actually one of my favorite words now, just saying.
Reclaim it.
You know what I'm saying? Or like just being called gay and whatever. And it's like, you're being raised in this environment where hypersexualization is such a horrible thing. But then because I'm a little fruity, my entire existence is wrapped around who I want to have sex with.
Right.
And it's not only kids that are commenting on it necessarily, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so then it's like you're experiencing this back and forth of like, I shouldn't be this sexualized creature, but then all of a sudden everyone else around me is technically sexualizing me because they view me as wanting to have sex with men, but I'm 13 years old and I haven't had sex with anybody.
Right.
You
I'm
know what
thinking
I'm saying?
about
Like
who I
just
want to hold hands with, maybe.
exactly. And so it's just so bad, like it's so backwards to me.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where some of my sexualization of the character comes back. It's like this kickback of like, okay, like all that you want to comment on is my sexuality, that I'm gonna be your fierce sexual dream that you're gonna want, but you're technically like, you know, like in terms of like kicking back at like a straight, like conservative man, for
Yeah,
example.
yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
then I'm gonna be the sexiest woman that you could ever imagine, and I'm gonna make you feel guilty about feeling attracted towards or having feeling towards because that's how I was made to feel when I
Right.
had feeling towards other. I think
Right.
that's where my sexualization comes from. And it's one of the reasons why I don't do kid shows so much because like
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's like a part of yourself that you get to reclaim through your art in a really powerful way. And that's what you're choosing to express. I love that. That's
Hmm.
beautiful. Okay, everything that you just said made me think so much about how drag, some people define drag. So I'm going to kind of give you guys what I think my vague definition of drag is because it's so ephemeral to me in certain ways. But like I feel like, and because I want to hear what you guys think too. My definition of drag, and I mentioned at the beginning, like a drag king being an AFAB person representing or you know, clowning or being an extreme version of a man or a masculine presence or idea in the way that society thinks about it. Even that is not directly a definition of what a drag king is, because it doesn't have to be an AFAB person. Not everyone who's doing it is trying to express an extreme version of what masculinity is. Some people are trying to embody it in a more centered way. So overall, in general, I often think of drag as like us, whoever the artist is looking at the way that society views gender or expresses gender or puts limits on how we're supposed to do gender, and turning the prism so that we can look at it in a different way, so the audience can see that person in a different way, or so that they can see themselves in a different way, or a little bit of all of it for whatever reason and in whatever context that is. And it changes, as we mentioned, based on the audience or based on who they're seeing. And specifically, I've heard a lot of other folks talk about the relationship between drag and clown. And especially with each of your backgrounds, I'm so curious as to how each of you see that relationship.
For me, no difference. Honest, I mean, Pennywise, right there.
Yeah.
Oh
Twisty
my God,
the
that's so good. I
Clown,
did,
Beetlejuice, like, and I
Watson
mean,
has
that's
wigs in the background and they're amazing.
like that's more literal, but I put clowning into all my drag. Yeah, I got a pun name. Watson is hacky. Watson is a Broadway twink. Watson is stupid. That's my favorite compliment that I get is people calling me stupid. Um like yeah, clowning for me, it's one and the same, baby. And I know that's not for everyone. Drag is like a gender journey. For others, drag is theater, which I think I would say that for myself as well. But oh yeah, 100% clown, baby. 100%. I do not I take drag seriously, but not in that sense. Drag is fun. Drag is artistic freedom. I take dollar bills out of people's mouths. I mean, let's be real here.
Yeah. I love the idea of like, I take drag seriously, like by being whimsical. Like I love like there's nothing, there's a quote that I've heard and I'd love to figure out who this is attributed to, but there's nothing more serious than play. And I love that. I think that's such an
Yeah,
interesting perspective.
100%.
Love that. And it's so important. It's so important for people to be able to play in whatever sense. Kyle, in the way that you were talking about of like theatrics and like I just think about like the kids that you're talking about that can see live entertainment like this and experience someone being fully embodied, whether that's like fully themselves and their gender or like fully themselves, like physically expressing with through the very tips of their fingers and dance or whatever it is. But yeah, Kyle, what about you? What about you and drag and clown?
oh my gosh, well, drag and clown. I feel like for me, in my body and mind as a performer, there's such different things. So like before I started doing drag, I was backup for a mic'd clown character for Cirque, which feels just as drag for me. So like that character specifically for me, it's a drag character. It's like you're in costume beyond recognition, speaking an invented language. It's like a bug. Because I was on a show that was bug themed, so I was a fly. So it was like all invented language. And all the characters that I was working with were invented language. So for me, that's drag and clown. But what I do now in drag, although sometimes comedic, I would say like for me, it's more like some of my clown or like clownesque training kind of like peeks out every once in a while, but it takes people by surprise because when they see someone that's like beautiful and naked, they expect that that's the only thing that they can do. Which happens to me all the time. Like, I used to do this.
That speaks to
Which
so
does
much of like how society sees that in general, you know, it's like, and so it doesn't matter where you're coming at it from. That's great. I love that. Yeah, please keep going.
It's so true. Yeah, I'm like, does me choosing it make it better or worse? I'm not sure. But
I think just that very question is part of the art, though. I love that.
exactly.
Yes.
So yeah, for me, they're very disconnected, but I view the art forms like as having such huge crossover. And in a way, there is a part of me where like I wish that more of my drag was a bit more clown involved, I suppose. But there is another side. How do I want to say this? It's like it also has to do with the gigs that I happen to start making a living doing. So like in general, in Vegas at drag brunch, the vibe is commercial, right? Like bachelorettes are here. We want to play like commercial music. Everyone's having fun. So like it gets serious kind of in that way where like they want a certain branding, and I felt the same way about working for Cirque as well. So like when I was working for Cirque and working for this drag brunch, there's a lot of people that are like, oh, like it just feels like this style is so defining.
Yeah.
And for me, I always felt like the freedom is like the freedom boundary concept. Have you ever heard of that? Where basically like you feel free as long as you don't have to go outside of your boundaries. So for some person, like you can be in this environment and feel completely free because you never necessarily had any desire to push outside. And if someone else needs something, you know, like times as large.
Yeah.
I always felt free in that. And because of that, I've just always kind of explored it. And like now I'm working like at a commercial, same thing, commercial club.
Yes.
The rules are like not top 40, but it's like upbeat and recognizable.
Totally.
Right.
And because of that, it like cuts out some of the opportunity to play in clown, I find.
Yeah.
And it was always really interesting. So I don't know if you know this about me, but last year I was working in LA a lot. Also at more commercial places. So I was like doing brunch at the Abbey.
Yes.
You know, like not doing underground scene sort of. I almost did Fat Slut though. At one time.
Great.
Which I would love to do, and our schedules got messed up and whatever. But it's kind of same thing where then, so I would show up at the Abbey and I was doing like Vegas, like commercial, like giving you one song, I have a coat on, it's coming off. And then after that, like collecting, you know, and I was working with a bunch of girls who also were stunning, but the mixes were so much more clownesque. It's like there's spoken word and the song choice is meant to be punny, you know, all that kind of stuff. And so just like, and I love it and I'm down to do it, but I just always was in a different style.
Venues. What was that like in terms of like the audience and like how they reacted to that, how they responded to you? What was the like, was there any sort of difference between those two, or were they just kind of here for all of it when you came to LA?
I think they're here for all of it. I mean, that being said, in LA, there's so many naked girls. Like there's so many like applique pasty girls, right? So like, it's not like they're not used to seeing it. It just so happens to be that it's just in these lineups. I guess I was always the one in that placeholder.
Yes.
Kind of.
Yeah.
In terms of casting. And so I don't know, they were always into it.
Great. I love it.
I think it's always refreshing to have a lineup with different cities. So I actually just worked EDC this weekend and we had so many different girls from so many different cities. And it's so nice to have a different city vibe because it creates a variety show.
It's always crazy to me how
So,
different cities really influence drag in different directions. Like I did Chicago drag for a little bit, and then LA drag's very different in its own way, and like really loves the like soundbite reference to a TikTok audio, like clever
Yeah.
tracks integration. Yeah, and it's
how
cool to
does
hear
he
about
do it?
Vegas too. It
How
makes
does
sense with
it
the
work?
showgirl thing. Right, exactly. Yes.
I find that within like specific places of LA too. I mean, if I'm doing a
Yes.
WeHo brunch, the chest plate goes on. I know
Yes.
what makes
Yes.
money.
Mhm.
But like if I go to Silver Lake, baby, the Silver Lake gays, they love the goofy me, the musical
Yeah.
me. Like they will, it just like 20 minutes that way. I get different vibes. But yeah, if I'm doing a bachelorette brunch, yeah, like I'll put my boy nipples out. Like I know what they want, and that's totally fine. Because then I go down
Mhm.
the street to the artsy fartsies and I just be like my annoying self over there, and it's
Yeah.
great. So I don't mind that because I get to branch out.
Yeah. I
But
get you. I
I
like having a
know the
balance.
places. Yeah, for sure. I like being slutty sometimes a lot.
Yes.
Well, of course.
Of course. I wanted to ask, so we've talked about audiences in real life. What is your relationship to audiences on social media? And we've talked about so many different kinds of drag and different kinds of audiences. And when you think about posting something on social media, how do you feel and who are you posting for?
That's such a loaded question. Oh my God.
Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to say, I do think that oh, this sounds horrible and so cheesy, and I want to bash my head into a
Come
wall.
at me, bro.
I do think that I'm posting for myself because I love to give myself a little giggle, and I'm just
Yes.
hoping people will like it. There was one video that I made that now I've made a few others, and everyone seems that it's going out to seems to relate to it, and it's about how drag partners get terribly abused by drag performers. And that went like relatively viral. That resonated with so many random people that were like, oh yeah, I abused my drag partner terribly. Just like putting suitcase on top of suitcase, making them rhinestone till they go blind.
Right.
And so that's been really fun.
Your
But
romantic partner becoming your roadie or your manual
yeah.
labor, all of
Basically,
it. Yes.
So I try to share like real life stuff that's funny for me. And when I make promos for my shows, I try to be as ridiculous as I possibly can be. And for the most part, people are like, that's cool because they know that I've put in an effort instead of just being like, come to my show. That I've actually gone out and done something and been stupid and taken time to promote my show in a fun way. So I feel like I get a good amount of responses that way. But hey, if you're watching this and you don't follow me at
At Watson
Watson.side.
side. Don't forget the dot.
Yes,
that was
Watson.side.
that was instructions for me. I don't think I follow you. And that needs to change today.
And you will
Do it,
now.
Scarlett.
Yeah, you
We
will
all
now.
will.
Do it. Yeah.
That's great. I love it. Like it does sound cheesy, but in the best way of like posting for yourself. Like that doesn't just sound cheesy, Watson. It sounds healthy.
Well, it's cheesy when I scroll down my feed and I watch old videos and I'm like, I'm so funny. That's cheesy. That's horrible.
No, it's not. I love it. Like I'm like not to know your thing, but like I think that's happiness, you know, because then it's like it doesn't matter who's liking it and the people that resonate with it are the people that are actually going to resonate with you as a performer and as an artist. I think. Maybe that's cheesy too, but that's what I thought.
It's embarrassing.
Not embarrassing, it's authentic.
Right. And it's all embarrassing. Everything we do in this lifetime is
Rebranding.
embarrassing. Let's be cringe. We're reclaiming cringe. We're drag artists. If we can't, who can?
Correct.
Cringe.
I feel like for me, social media, oh my gosh. Once again, my experience goes deeper than drag. Or like goes past drag, or it started elsewhere, I should say. So like I remember getting Instagram when it was still timeline based.
Yeah.
So it was like you hopped on the app and whoever you followed that most recently posted was at the top. And that's when I started to get popular on Instagram. So I just started posting training videos when I was at circus school.
Yeah.
And started to get popular and like had fun with like the numbers game of like, okay, like I'm gonna post today and like let's see if my numbers are better than the last time that I posted, right? At the same time, it is portfolio building. And at the same time, I was also sharing with people who are interested in my journey, like my skill acquisition, because I was in a different country going to a circus school,
Yeah.
trying to get to a new level, right? So I think it's kind of like it was all always there for me, where it's like I'm posting for myself, but then I'm like posting because people are curious what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I'm like discovering the play of like how to optimize posting times, content styles, all that kind of stuff from the top, which sounds crazy that I was doing. Anyways, I was having fun.
No, it makes sense. It makes total sense. It's
And
gamified.
then starting drag, I feel like that's where the character permanently lives for me.
Mhm.
So I'm just like, for me, the character lives in the B-roll. And my experience with Cirque, it's the same thing, right? It's like this character, of course, technically only lives on stage, but now because of the way that the internet works, can like permanently live here. So I feel
Yeah.
like it's just like a place for my drag character, like for her to express herself. I feel that sounds weird because I really don't feel outside of my drag character. Like I really feel like I am Scarlett and Scarlett is me. And like there's not much of a difference. It's just
Yep.
like what side am I leaning into?
Mhm.
I feel like also, and I want to further this question, ask y'all as kings what your experience is, because with how the current casting of like, for example, Drag Race is going, right, which is like the mainstream pinnacle on television at this point for drag large, but it's only for drag queens at this point.
Right.
I feel like there's a huge pressure on queens specifically to be demonstrating a level of excellence in their video shoots and their content. And like knowing in the way that like stories work and memories and grid and reel, right? It's like having all of like the Instagram forms. I feel like there is this sort of expectation to hop on a specific wave of quality and wave of rollout that also obviously has had an influence on me, because if you don't hop on the wave, you don't have the same accessibility, or you don't have the same access to bookings.
Right.
So I think that's kind of how it started. Now I'm at a healthier balance of like, okay, I'm not gonna like only go and do a photo shoot just for Instagram. Like I'm gonna shoot the things that I want for myself, but then, like I said, kind of optimize my time in drag to give it to myself, and also be like, well, yeah, I'm also gonna go out of my way and like take a picture or two or take a video or two to promote a show or to cater
Totally.
towards the content that my audience likes. So I feel like
Yeah.
I do a little bit of everything, but in my audience, I get a lot of positivity, and there's a lot of,
Good.
just like rooting to go more commercial for me. They're like, when are you coming to my city here? When are you doing this show? When are you going to be here? And so for that reason, also, I do kind of keep it rolling for my audience too, because at the end of the day, the audience is coming to my show supporting me. So I'm like, well, I'm going to do a little photo. We're going to do a quick one too, a little video for you guys, So I feel
Right.
like it's a shared experience where like, obviously I'm having fun curating the content, but
Yeah.
it does kind of keep the career rolling. And like, even at the bar that I work at now, there are social media expectations in the contract.
Yes. That
Like I have to
specifically in
post
the
a certain amount
contract.
of times.
Yeah, that makes
So
sense. Is that specifically for the show that they're talking about? They want you to post a certain number of times?
it's for Piranha. Yeah. So anytime that
For
I'm
Piranha
working,
specifically,
I
yeah.
have to post specifically like high res. Like we're expected to post like and how do I want to say it? I don't want to say it without sounding like, oh, it's in our contract, but
No,
like
no, I see you.
we're expected to post when we're working at the bar. And
Yeah.
with that comes like it's supposed to be like a high quality photo or like a cute video or like a new
Yes.
outfit. Like we're intended to continue the rollout of our own elevation while also highlighting the fact that, our elevation is supported by our place of work.
Yeah, I think that speaks to like
So
how
That's interesting.
powerful social media can be. It's like I think that tells you like if the venue itself is like, oh, we need you to do this so much that we're putting it in your contract. I think if anything, it just speaks to like the exact thing that you're saying from your past and from your first interacting with Instagram of like it helps you create this continuity of character, whether it's like you specifically as Kyle and you're in another country, but whoever you've worked with before can still see what you're working on, even though you're far away. And you're still kind of top of mind for, if someone wants to call you for an audition or those kind of things. And then same thing with Scarlett Business. And I relate to what you're saying. I have like, multiple different characters going at one time. And sometimes in your life as an artist, you're focusing on one aspect of things. And so even if that day you're not dressed up in drag, you can post that video and people are still seeing this character come through their feed, and like she can continue to exist even if that day you're laying on your couch, or like this is the day I need off, or this is the day I need to go clock in and do circus over here, like whatever it is. Yeah, I love that. Okay, great. Viv, what were you gonna say?
I don't think I was gonna say I mean, shocked about the contract thing, but I think that's venues too, especially now. I think they're realizing that social media has a shit ton of power. And so I understand why they're leaning into that. And
Yeah.
that's crazy, but respect.
But at the same time, I think where it came from, right? Like where it comes from is that there's a huge culture in drag too, like that if you're in a show, you should be promoting it. Right. And so there's just like
Yes.
expectation to help lift. And it doesn't come from, like I said, it doesn't really come from a negative place. It comes more from like an uplifting of like the team where it's like, hey, like we all love working at this venue. Like we want this venue to continue. So like it's a part of our job to like be promoting our show and making sure that we're getting locals in and guests in and whatever. So it did change it. It wasn't always a rule. And they're like, hey, we'd really like for you guys to like post. And
Help
it
us level this
actually
up.
has had a positive impact on me because like it makes me more aware of like, oh yeah, like I should be. Sometimes you get so wrapped up in the present, in the the preparation
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
you forget that there is that side of things of like selling tickets and whatever. Like I'm not the producer. I don't have to handle the producer stress of the numbers on the
Yeah.
other side, right? Like my job has always been to show up and like be the artist and have the fierce performance.
Yeah.
And I don't think that it's unfair for us to share that weight
Yeah.
as
And it
well,
also
especially
like
like with
you end up having the grounding of like, this is technically part of my job, so I have to do this, as opposed to like,
Yeah.
I can get caught up sometimes in the like, well, do people still want to hear like, it's like, no, it's just part of my job. Like this is just part of what the gig is or what the job is. And that can really help legitimize stuff like that in my own head sometimes. Amazing. Well, I don't want to keep you guys any longer because this has been an amazing and expansive conversation. So I'll leave you guys with one of my favorite questions, which is today, if you were a snack item, what snack would you be?
I think I could be a Werther's original.
You are, and you are so original, and that is part of why. And I love everything about that.
They're delicious. They're chewy. They're good to suck. They're creamy. Okay, you know what? I'll stop. Anyway, Kyle, what are you?
I'm definitely a rainbow nerds gummy cluster.
Yes.
So cute. I love that. And they're kind of like, they're sweet, but they can also be surprisingly tart, which I am
Exactly.
delighted by.
It's balanced, and then it's also like chewy and crunchy, and then
Yes.
rainbow hot gay. Like
I love that.
just
I'm
a little bit
changing
of
my
everything.
answer.
Yes.
A
Travel
little bit of
size.
everything.
I love it. I think
That was-
today gonna be a crunchy, cheesy sort of like off-brand Cheez-It with extra little cheese dust on it. That's what I meant today.
Lots of cheese.
Like
I'm
maybe
with
too
it.
much cheese dust. Arguably too much cheese dust.
Is there such thing as too much cheese dust though?
I don't think so. I don't want to hold
No.
back,
Mm-mm.
all over your fingers. I love it. Well, thank you so much, Viv and Kyle. This has been amazing. And please tell the people where they can find you and what you got coming up.
So if I didn't say this enough already, please follow me, Watson.side, spelled exactly how you think, unless you're stupid. And no, you're not. It's okay. Spelling's really hard. Don't worry about it. But I'm on Instagram. I put all my information there, especially all these gigs that are coming up in Pride. Oh my God. So please follow me there. I also have my show that I do monthly with the great Morgan Wood coming up on June 23rd. It's called Cringe Fest because we're cringy. See you there. Buy tickets at the Elysian.
I
I'm
love
really bad at
that.
this. I'm
That
really
was
bad.
great. That was great. And we mentioned cringe in this episode. You're topical. We're doing it. Kyle, what
Yep.
about you, darling?
Sickening plug. Okay, time for my plug. So my name is Scarlett Business, and that is my name on Instagram. There are 2 T's, no spaces, business spelled normally because she's here to work. I don't have TikTok anymore, so there's that. And otherwise, I think the most exciting thing that I have to plug is that in 2 weeks, I'm actually coming to LA and I'm performing at West Hollywood Pride.
Let's
That's right
go.
around the corner here. So I'll be doing a few numbers Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Then for the rest of Pride season, I'm actually in Vegas, so you can catch me at Piranha and Gypsy Nightclub Thursdays through Sundays every Saturday morning for brunch at Gypsy Drag Ultra Brunch. Um, and other than that, yeah, we'll see. There's other things that I have coming up. If you're in Hawaii, I'm coming back in October.
Oh, gorgeous.
So,
That was so
so that's
ominous
that.
in a really good way.
Hell
Hawaii,
yeah.
October.
Okay.
We'll see
Hawaii,
then.
I'm coming back. They know. The Oahu gays. They know.
They're ready, and yet they're not.
They're not.
Thank you both so much for being on this episode. I adore you both and think you're incredible artists and wonderful human beings. So have a good
Thank
day.
you.
We'll see.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thanks for having us.
The Variety Pack.